All right, today I've got a bit of a serious one. Let's be honest, they've all been serious, but this one especially so. Because today I want to talk about artificial intelligence and the likelihood that it might be the end of us. And I guess you could say my interest in this topic, it's a professional interest because I work with AI on a daily basis. I work with machine learning, I work with deep learning, and I use these tools, these LLMs, frequently to help me write code. And for what it's worth, I also have a paper published in the area of machine learning. And it's not worth very much, but it hopefully gives you an indication that this isn't just a random person spouting off their opinion. Although I'm certainly spouting off my opinion. I think one of the big problems that people have with AI is just how rapidly science fiction is becoming science. And I'm not certain that everybody understands the implications. They may see things that make them uncomfortable, but OpenAI and a lot of these other companies, be they Google, Meta, even Anthropic, although you could make the argument they're a nicer brand of it. These companies are all in an arms race, along with state actors like China, I assume Russia, probably India too, to develop AGI. And artificial general intelligence, AGI, if they're able to create it, and we don't see any evidence that the rate of change is slowing down here, if they're able to create it, it's going to be an absolute game changer. It could be a very good thing, don't get me wrong, but it could also be a very bad thing. And I think part of the problem is we just don't know how it's going to turn out. And so for maybe the last 8 months or so, I've been consuming an awful lot of this content surrounding AI safety, debates between these two disparate camps, the effective accelerationists who believe that we'll figure all of that stuff out and the concerns about AI are really overblown and it's going to usher in a utopia. And I'm probably doing a little bit of violence to their perspective, but that's the cliffs, right? And then on the other side, to the extreme end, you've got the doomers, the Eliezer Yudkowskys, the Connor Leahys, people that think that the probability that AI, as it's currently formulated, will lead, perhaps not inevitably, but at a 90% or greater chance of it all going to catastrophe for human civilization, perhaps even for our existence on planet Earth. And that might sound like alarmism, and maybe it is. But then again, maybe it's not. How do we really know? And I've consumed a lot of these debates between guys like this, Eliezer Yudkowsky, I'll tell you more about him in a second, and some of these effective accelerationists, or just people in the middle, people that think, hey, AI risk is serious and it's important, but, it's not all doom and gloom. But what concerned me was that the people who are the bloomers, the effective accelerationists, the people that felt like, yeah, don't worry about this whole AI safety thing, man. We've got this, okay? We'll figure it out when the time comes. They never did a good enough job, in my view, refuting the arguments of some of the more prominent doomers. And particularly with this Eliezer Yudkowsky fellow, I felt like there was something about him that rubbed me the wrong way. And it wasn't just that nobody was able to refute his arguments, because, obviously, if you've got some really good arguments, that should be fantastic. The problem was that he had this conclusion that all hope was lost. And that just isn't in the human spirit. I couldn't stomach that. Even if I agreed with the thrust of what he was saying, the end point I found unsound. And not unsound in a logical sense, because as far as I can tell, and I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but as far as I can tell, the logic seems to follow. Just unsound in that apocalypse now sense of the word, you know. I despise anybody that gives up hope. Maybe despise is a strong word. I don't despise the guy, but I don't like his conclusion. This is the kind of guy that when asked about the future says, well, nobody knoweth the hour or the day, but if you're expecting a long life, don't. And on the one hand, maybe to give the devil his due, we can't tell when we're going to die. That's true. We don't know. But I find that attitude to be distasteful. It's like rolling over, giving up. And there are other guys on that doomer side of the camp that haven't. Guys like Connor Leahy, who runs his own AI company that's dedicated to trying to make a better form of AI, one that isn't based on this large language model base with multimodality and vision and all the rest of it, and all these things that are just faster and faster and faster. No, he wants to take it slow, and he wants to model it more on the way that the human brain looks, at least from what I remember. And I mean, you can make the argument that, hey, transformer networks are kind of modeled on the way the human brain acts. They're a much more advanced form of the basic neural network, right? Which the technology from that comes from people sitting down and figuring out, hey, this is what neurons do. But I think his model of doing business is a lot more ethical. And I think that kind of picture of taking it slow, building it bit by bit, figuring out something that we know how to control, that we know how to build from the ground up to be aligned with our interests. Because now I'm getting to the biggest problem here, is that we really don't know how to align artificial general intelligence with our interests. We don't even know if it's possible. And it's concerning when we see guys like Eliezer Yudkowsky and Jan Leike leaving OpenAI, and we can't say for sure that it's in protest to the behavior of the company, but there's a bit of smoke there, right? Because what that says is that they don't have faith in the direction that company's heading, safety-wise. The two top guys concerned with AI safety within that company are now gone. And you can understand why these companies are doing this, because the potential profits of this thing is enormous. I guess the concern is that they're so focused on the bag that they're willing to drive us off the cliff. And I think even guys like Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, will admit, hey, look, the risk of things going pear-shaped here, it's not zero. It's not an insubstantial risk. They've just made the decision that, hey, look, you know that one bullet that's in the revolver? Yeah, it could kill us, but hey, those other 5, wow. What if it could solve all of your problems, man? Huh? How about that? What if those other 5 positions in the chamber are utopia? But I can't remember who said it. It might have been Leahy. Could have been somebody else. It doesn't really matter whether the risk is 5% or 50%. It shouldn't change how we respond to this. And I don't know where to place my own personal risk assessment of AI, but I agree with what he's saying. It shouldn't change how we behave, shouldn't change how we respond. And I think, although I'm reluctant to place a number on it, unlike a lot of these Silicon Valley types that parade around their probability of doom at dinner parties, I think there's a very good chance, don't know what it is exactly, that AI does pose an existential risk to humanity. And there's a myriad of different ways that it could go wrong. You don't even need AGI. You could just have a sufficiently powered, narrow artificial intelligence. Something on the order of Stockfish for chess or AlphaGo for Go, put towards gene editing. And, I probably want to avoid a watch list here, don't I? But you can see how a sufficiently evil person coupled with a sufficiently powerful narrow AI in that kind of area could lead to some very disastrous results. Speaking in terms of the alignment problem with AGI, we don't know that it's not just going to do us in accidentally. It doesn't necessarily have to be malicious. And so you couple all of these risks that we have regarding AI with the fact that 7 out of 10 of the top corporations in the world by market cap are all in on AI, whether they are producing the cards in order to train these networks, or whether they are creating the semiconductors that are used in the cards, or whether they're like a Microsoft with an enormous commitment to AI, or Google with an enormous commitment to AI, or Meta with an enormous commitment to AI. And you look at all of that power and the regulatory capture that these corporations have over world governments, and it can quickly lead to a place of hopelessness. And I get it, because I felt hopeless for quite a long time too. But I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say that these risks aren't severe, that we're not behind the 8 ball, because we are. But even if the game is already lost, we can still give them the middle finger and tell them to fuck off. We can still rebel against this. Rebellion's good, man. It feels good. It gives you a sense of purpose. And who knows, maybe we do achieve some success. Maybe if enough people become concerned about this, we can do something to arrest the development just enough that we can get AI alignment right, that we can take these companies to task over the technology that they are unleashing. And then who knows, maybe we're all barking up the wrong tree and AI does turn out all right and it is a utopia. Who knows? But the fact that we don't know should be enough to motivate you to do something about it. And so what can you do? They always told me, you should leave people on a positive note. Give them a call to action. Make them feel empowered. And it's not wrong. It's not bad advice, right? So one very simple thing that you can do is that AI safety groups are cropping up all around the world, no matter where you live. You can be a part of that. If there isn't one where you live, and you're a good organizer, you should think about starting one. If you have more money than you know what to do with, you can start giving that money to causes that support this. Even if you don't have more money than you know what to do with, and you just have some spare, right? Maybe you can still give $1 or $2. You can tell your friends. You can learn up about this whole AI safety debate. And I'm not convinced I've done it. It's due here. But you can learn up about it. Then you can start trying to convince at least one person. Just one. It's a hell of a good start. And a bit more about that rebellion, because I think it's worth expanding upon just a little bit. I'm a big fan of Albert Camus. And I guess Camus' most famous essay was The Myth of Sisyphus, right? And Sisyphus it's a Greek tragedy about a man who was cursed by the gods to push a boulder up a mountain. And as soon as he pushes it up to the top, it comes tumbling back down again. And he has to repeat it ad infinitum, forever. But Camus says that we should imagine Sisyphus happy, and we should do so because he has a purpose. He has found a meaning through the trial that he undergoes. And I think that lies at the heart of any good rebellion. And that's why I find people that want to lie down and do nothing, throw their hands up, so distasteful. And it's why I hope that you will feel the same way too. Okay, until next time.